Have you ever met two INFJs who seem like opposites? One is sunshine in group chats, the other is a ghost with Wi-Fi. Present when they choose, impossible to pin down, and somehow more influential by saying less. Same four letters, different operating system. Today we're diving into that rare operating system, the Sigma INFJ. Think of it as the INFJ blueprint fused with a lone wolf strategy, quiet, precise, and unstoppable. If classic INFJs are the counselors, Sigma INFJs are the watchmakers. They build the whole clock in silence and hand you the time. Before we hit the habits, a quick foundation. Sigma INFJs aren't aloof because they dislike people. They simply reject systems that demand constant availability, shallow transparency, and social theater. Their intuition runs deep, their independence is non-negotiable, and their compassion is filtered through strategy. They're not better INFJs, just a different flavor, rarer, stealthier, and built for autonomy. With that in mind, let's unpack the 12 hidden habits that set Sigma INFJs apart from every other INFJ. 1. Strategic solitude, not just alone time. Most INFJs need downtime to recharge. Sigma INFJs turn solitude into a tool. They plan quiet hours like executives plan board meetings. This isn't mindless withdrawal, it's deliberate seclusion for synthesis. During these windows, they aren't scrolling. They're reorganizing mental filing cabinets, testing scenarios, modeling outcomes, and moving personal projects from 70% to 95% in one ruthless burst. If they vanish, assume they're in deep work, learning a framework, mapping a pivot, writing a plan, or closing emotional tabs that other people left open. Their alone time also resets empathy. Classic INFJs can drown in other people's feelings. Sigma INFJs resurface on purpose. Think emotional quarantine. They identify what emotion came from where, drain what isn't theirs, and restore signal to noise. The result is calm that feels almost unshakable, which is why their return to the world can feel potent. They come back with answers, boundaries, and a fresh strategy, like they pressed a private reboot button no one else can find. 2 parallel exit plans. Freedom first always. Loyal? Yes. Trapped? Never. Sigma INFJs design parallel options in career, relationships, and lifestyle. It isn't paranoia, it's freedom engineering. They invest in cross-training and side income, keep credentials current, and quietly build bridges before they ever need to cross them. In relationships, love isn't a leash. They attach with depth, but not dependency. If respect erodes or manipulation creeps in, they won't explode, they'll execute. You'll sense the shift long before the door closes, because a Sigma INFJ decouples emotionally before they decamp physically. Work-wise, they're the person who can resign on Friday and be billable on Monday. Not because they're flaky, because they've nurtured optionality. Sigma INFJs know that leverage is the opposite of desperation, and nothing preserves integrity like knowing you can walk at any time. 3. Quiet intelligence gathering, patterns over gossip. All INFJs notice what others miss. Sigma INFJs catalog it. They're not snooping, they're studying. Conversations are data streams, word choice, timing, contradictions, microagreements. They track how people behave under pressure versus peace, promises versus follow-through. They anchor less to what you say, and more to what you do repeatedly. This extends beyond people. They learn systems, how teams actually ship work, not how they say they do, how incentives distort outcomes, how gatekeepers are chosen. You won't see a reading list on their Instagram, but their Kindle highlights could launch a think tank. They integrate psychology, negotiation, finance, and creative craft into one internal map. Then they move like they had tomorrow's script yesterday. Before, selective vulnerability, intimacy with guardrails. Classic INFJs often open up deeply with trusted people. Sigma INFJs open strategically. They share enough to build real intimacy, but never so much that their center of gravity moves outside themselves. Their stories are true and edited. Not to deceive, but to protect what is still growing. Ask a probing question and they'll answer beautifully, inside a boundary. You'll feel close without touching the core. This isn't game playing, it's narrative stewardship. They understand timing. Share too early and you invite premature opinions into a fragile seed. Share too much and you train others to think you owe them access. Sigma INFJs connect with quality over volume. They want 1 or 2 people who know the unabridged version. not 20 people who know the trailer. 5. Cyclical drive, burst mode over drip mode. The world worships consistency charts. Sigma INFJs worship outcomes. Their productivity arrives in seasons: sprint, reflect, rebuild, launch. During sprints, they're everywhere. Calls, drafts, problem-solving marathons. Then they disappear to metabolize the sprint, extract lessons, redesign systems, recover their nervous system, and make the next sprint twice as efficient. To outsiders, this looks inconsistent. To them, it's athletic periodization for the mind. They don't apologize for honoring their cycles because forcing a linear pace kills their edge. When they're on, they're surgical. When they're off, they're investing in the next on. If you collaborate with one, learn the rhythm. You'll ship more in their bursts than most teams ship all quarter. 6. Independent power structures. Assets, not just achievements. Sigma INFJs build leverage. Beyond resumes, they accrue assets, rare skills, evergreen content, niche reputations, trusted networks, and systems that produce value while they're offline. They prefer a modest lifestyle with high mobility over status trinkets that require constant feeding. It's not minimalism for aesthetics, it's maneuverability for strategy. They diversify identity too. They're not the job title, they're the engine that created it, and can create another. That's why they're hard to threaten. Take away a platform, they'll build a new one. Cut a budget, they'll design a leaner model. They think like owners even when they're employees, because dependence is the one bill they refuse to pay. And 7. Managed mystery. Let curiosity work for you. Most people strive to be understood. Sigma INFJs allow some misunderstanding if it protects their sovereignty. They answer questions with precision, not confession. They don't fill silences with reassurance, nor do they label everything they're building. Mystery isn't a costume. It's a boundary that keeps their creative oxygen unscrutinized until it's fireproof. And yes, mystery is magnetic. People project onto blank space. Sigma INFJs know this and don't rush to correct projections that are harmless. Why? Because explanation triggers expectations. They'll clarify when stakes require it, otherwise they let their results do the speaking. The less they narrate, the more they can iterate. 8. Emotional sovereignty. Feel deeply, decide clearly. Empathy without sovereignty becomes absorption. Sigma INFJs build a moat. They feel intensely but refuse to be commandeered by the loudest emotion in the room. They separate compassion from compliance. I understand you does not equal I must obey you. They practice nervous system hygiene, sleep discipline, breathwork, journaling, time in nature, spiritual practices, so they can choose responses instead of leaking reactions. When someone attempts a guilt trip, they name the tactic and opt out. When drama spikes, they lower their voice and raise their clarity. When shame creeps in, an INFJ classic, they interrogate it. Is this mine? Is it true? What action repairs this? Their calm isn't numbness, it's capacity. 9. Frictionless environments. Design beats willpower. Sigma INFJs design their world to remove unnecessary resistance. They don't battle temptations, they uninstall them. Notifications are off by default. Desks are set for the next deep session the night before. Their calendar contains recovery as an actual appointment. Closets are curated for decision-light mornings. In friendships, they choose people who honor quiet and don't punish boundaries. In work, they organize tools so that creation is 1 click away and distraction is 3 clicks deep. This is how they protect creativity from death by 1,000 micro-frictions. They also prune relentlessly. Projects, apps, subscriptions, even identities. If it drains without paying rent and meaning or momentum, it's gone. This is why they seem lucky. They're simply unencumbered. Number 10. Private documentation. Receipts for the soul. Sigma INFJs document everything privately. Not for clout, for clarity. Morning pages, decision logs, pattern trackers, after-action reviews, for relationships and launches. These notebooks are their boardroom. They capture triggers, test hypotheses. What happens if I shift this boundary by 10%, and run life like a lab? Years later, those notes become a compendium of self-trust. What worked, what didn't, who showed you who they were, which risks paid, and which red flags you rationalized. When life wobbles, they don't rely on vibes, they consult receipts. It's like getting mentored by every previous version of themselves. Number 11, principle first decision making, even when it costs. A classic INFJ cares about harmony. A Sigma INFJ chooses integrity when harmony and integrity collide. They pre-decide non-negotiables, truth over optics, process over panic, long-term over likes, and practice them when it's inexpensive so they hold under pressure when it's costly. They'll decline lucrative work if it violates mission, walk away from social capital if it demands flattery, and keep promises no one can police. This makes them quietly formidable. You can't bribe someone who isn't starving for approval. And you can't threaten someone who already built exits. Their yes means yes because their no has teeth. A 12, stealth influence, impact without the spotlight. Sigma INFJs don't need the mic to move the room. They influence by drafting better plans, asking surgical questions, and making the right person braver at the right time. They don't hoard credit, they aim for outcomes. You'll find their fingerprints on the solution even if their name isn't on the slide. They mentor sideways and upward, offering frameworks leaders adopt without realizing the source. They build tools others rely on. They seed language that becomes company culture. Because they're not competing for stage time, they can put the work at the center, and the work gets better. These aren't 12 random quirks, they're a tightly coupled system. Strategic solitude fuels private documentation, number 1, number 10. Documentation clarifies principles, number 10, number 11. Principles simplify exit plans and preserve emotional sovereignty, from 2 to 8. Emotional sovereignty makes burst cycles potent instead of chaotic, number 8, number 5. Cycles require frictionless environments, home 5, number 9. Independent power structures enable managed mystery, number 6, number 7. Managed mystery reduces noise, which frees attention for quiet intelligence gathering, number 7, number 3. And all of that, compounded, creates stealth influence, number 12. Pull one thread and the fabric still holds. Run them together and you get that unmistakable Sigma INFJ signature, calm momentum. Healthy Sigma INFJs audit for drift. They calendar connection, narrate cycles to collaborators, heads down sprint until the 15th, and share distilled learnings with the right audience so the world benefits from what their notebooks already know. They appear both present and untouchably centered. They'll listen like a therapist, decide like a founder, and disappear without apology. They ask questions that compress months of confusion into a moment of clarity. They're intensely informed and oddly uninterested in convincing you. They value silence and precision. They remember what you forgot you said. When chaos spikes, they get calmer. When pressure mounts, they get simpler. Because they're less entangled in applause, Sigma INFJs often say the necessary thing at the necessary time, cleanly, kindly, and with a plan attached. They're guardians of depth in a culture of display, architects of clarity in rooms addicted to noise. Their independence isn't a snub, it's a promise. I won't use you to fill my emptiness. I'll meet you as a whole person, and I'll leave if I can't stay whole. If you recognize yourself here, stop explaining your rhythm to people committed to misunderstanding it. Build the systems that make your rhythm powerful. If you love a Sigma INFJ, offer space, not surveillance, collaboration, not control. You'll see more of them when you stop trying to see all of them. If this deep dive hit home, tell me which habit you're claiming first. And if you want more scripts like this, built for quiet power and real growth, tap like, subscribe, and share this with the one friend who moves mountains without announcing the weather.